I've downloaded and tried a couple of sound recording apps, but none of them will ignore the background noise. I've got audible radio waves beamed in at me 24/7. Today is actually quiet, but every sound recorder I've tried picks it up and seems to magnify it, so it's not great listening. I don't know if there's some way I can cancel it out in the editing. I'll try my best, but if not, I hope what I'm saying's interesting enough, important enough, and relevant enough for anyone who's listening to be able to get past it. And yeah, thanks for listening. If you do stick with it, I've done the best. I wanted to put forward my thoughts about Orbs, having recently uploaded a slideshow of Orbs that I've captured over the years. So this is for any TIs who have this occurring, either the stationary ones that can be captured on photographs, or the ones that are whiz through your peripheral vision and you see them going through walls and all sorts of things like that. I've had a bit of a realisation, I think, about them in the past week as a result of scanning my some of them very old 35mm roll films onto my PC, and I thought my first Orbs captured on photographs were in 2011, but I found them going back further than that now. A lot of truthers and people who are publishing online are trying to put all the weirdness into different categories. They're saying if you're being gang-stalked, it's nothing to do with abductions. The alien hoax is a separate issue altogether. But I think if your life's gone weird, those things are all connected, and I've put them all into one category because I do think that they're linked. Because I've got quite a few of the phenomena going on, but not all of them, and some other TIs or abductees have got other items going on, but not the same ones as me. But there are overlaps. Some have got everything, some have got less, some have just got the actual gangstalking and physical goings on, thefts, etc. But I think a lot of people who think that they've just got that have got more going on, but it's just that they haven't realised it yet. I've been gang-stalked since 1992, actively. There was weirdness going on before, but so I think I've got quite a is experience the right word? I've done a lot of research, certainly in the last few years, and I've pieced quite a bit of it together. So this is my thoughts on Orbs, and a pep talk really, to go along with my realisations. I've taken many photographs of Orbs in recent years, and unfortunately I deleted some pictures that were irregular, that didn't fit the bill. Everyone was talking about Orbs, so anything that wasn't an orb I've sort of deleted, which is a shame. So the irregular ones I can't prove, but I have had the ones with the faces in them, and I had a little smiley faced star or two down in the grass, and also teddy bear faces and cartoons, which it all seemed quite childish, and I thought, why are they aiming this at me? And I wondered if it was because well, as a TI you suspect you're being accused of all sorts, and children in the wrong way comes into it, and you get the feeling that you're being called the P word behind your back, which is really not very nice. So once or twice, in annoyance, I've flapped these orbs away with a towel jumper if they're in my room, and I sort of regret that now that I understand what they are a bit. Um, but nevertheless, with everything else that's going on, sometimes they're all you need. So the first time they appeared in my photographs, or so I thought, was in 2011, when I was getting out more, and it was in mid Wales, and it had been raining, so were it not for the little star-shaped one that I deleted, I would have just put it down to moisture in the air, because these particular ones don't seem to have any faces in them. I've noticed that those tend to be the ones that you get indoors. So I would have, at the time I thought, well, it's just moisture lingering in the air, although it had stopped raining. But because there'd been a very sad child abduction case nearby to where I was, and geographically, and only in the previous few weeks. So when I took the photographs, I didn't delete them. But at the time I thought, well, this needs a bit more thinking about. There's more to this than just pictures, things to look at. It must have some meaning. It must mean something to TIs, or to the people that are being allowed to see them, or the ones that are looking for them. So over the years I've studied my pictures closely and wondered what they represented. Some I considered might be pollen spores, microscopic images of pollen spores and diseases, viruses, bacteria, anything that could harm you, in the sense that they can weaponize diseases. So I thought, well, do I see the orbs when they're trying to infest me with something? But I don't seem to have got anything that I don't think I had before anyway. I might have. I might be incubating something. And I thought that they were being dropped on us via the chemtrails. And I have got one where they're all in a rope, as if they're coming from the moon. So I'll add that one, even though I've put it in a previous slideshow. Some people have had their chemtrail rubbish being dropped on them analysed. We don't get them that heavily here. They're in the sky, but I've only once or twice ever seen them sort of drifting off the apex of a roof at night, in a sort of cloud form. So some people have sent theirs, if they've got something that they can actually touch and pick up. We've sent it off to a laboratory and found that it's thallium, barium, and also contains blood or tissue cells. So that's, you've really got to start to think about what they are and what it represents. But I have had a bit of a realisation in the past few days as a result of scanning my older photographs, and found orbs in a photograph from 1999. So I was still on roll film then. This film also had pictures of my newborn nephew as a baby, the first time he came to visit us. So yeah, it's not childish pictures in the orbs for nothing. It is something to do with children. And also my photographs have been mixed up, jumbled up. Someone's gone through them, some are missing, and there's some kind of greasy, silvery tack on some of the photographs, but that also forms pictures. There's one that's got like a little baby badger, almost like a Beatrix Potter character curled up, so I don't know. So the orbs are, I think, pictures. The ones that are plain, with just like a shell and quite a plain centre on them, I think they represent ova, eggs, because many people who report alien abduction or are being subjected to the visual hoax of alien abduction also say that they've had genetic material taken from them, and many TIs or abductees report that their DNA has been messed about with, or they suspect it is, I had a couple of airplanes, went over here a few weeks ago, and they made the pattern. They sort of twirled around one another and made the pattern of an empty DNA string. So my understanding is that the barium thallium in the chemtrails will detrimentally affect our DNA. So this can mess up our bloodlines, us generationally, and we won't know who one another is. What does this mean for the family, in a sense? Yeah, I know what I'm trying to say. Family trees, continuity, genetic continuity, what's good about us, what we like about each other, what makes us get on, because families have similar temperaments and we understand one another. So yeah, it could mess us up as a family unit, which is wrong in every way. My vague realisation is also that many TIs are reporting their stalking has a generational aspect. Of course it does. If they're monitoring us, then it stands to reason that our parents have been monitored, and they're in the scheme, and that our children, the next generation, will be too. So yeah, a lot of people are saying that it's generational. So there's something interesting about us, something a bit strange to begin with. I think a lot of people are from families who are rhesus negative blood groups, and or mixed race. There's a racist element to it, I've discovered, quite unpleasant. Yeah, all sorts of things. So in the absolutely terrifying beginning of my stalking hate campaign, call it what you will, which was in 1992, I was subjected to a bewildering amount of information via street theatre, visually, which I then called mime or charades, because until 2013 I was on my own in this. I just thought it was a personal vendetta. It wasn't until 2013 that I got online and found the word gangstalking and that I wasn't alone. So I've been going on quite a long time, struggling on my own, and I think I've sort of developed quite a hard shell about it, because I was isolated, I was self-reliant. So yeah, even now, 17 years later, I still get fearful flashbacks about some things, and one of them, weirdly, is if I hear someone slam a boot or a hatchback car. It's just frightens me still. I don't know why. And also, for some reason, some directed conversation frightens me, and I think in the beginning mine was radio hams, so it must be more than one person speaking to whoever's doing giving you the directed conversation, and there must be one person in there that I can sense, or that they give me a flash of waves of emotion, because they are beaming radio waves at us and can control our emotions via different wavelengths. So yeah, there's one person in amongst it all who makes me feel afraid, really. So I realised that a lot of my life I'd been conversing with radio hams and people like that, and because a lot of my life, when I look back at it now, or certainly my late teens and 20s, it was all the same person who, although I got different people was amongst different people, it was just one person who was giving them directed conversation that I knew absolutely nothing about, and it had to be very routine. My life had to be very routine, and it was their routine. Very weird. And a sort of coded agenda of their political, racial beliefs. I'm not sure. So yeah, I don't think the V2K came in for me straight away. I don't experience that myself beyond something that sounds like tinnitus. Probably if you recorded it and could engineer it, his voice is either turned down so low that they're just a growl and slowed down. So, but I have had things, inanimate objects, speak to me once or twice. You know, the skirting board spoke to me once. Farting hedgerows. You have to laugh at some of it. But one of the things that was constantly being said in the very beginning, in the directed conversation, was the phrase, "It's too late." And this also I found quite frightening. Those 3 words, "it's too late," just sent a pang of fear through me. Now I thought that I was being chastised about my timekeeping, which has never been very good. I tend to find it difficult to get to anywhere on time. I don't like waiting for one thing, so I think, oh, I'll just do that and then set off, and I'm late, missing trains, missing appointments, missing buses, never get to work on time. It's completely tedious, and I know it's happening and I can do nothing about it. Always has been. So this, "it's too late," I took this quite personally and as a criticism, which was upsetting. But I think, in fact, that it's about the demographics of gangstalking, because it's generational. They started on my older brother, who's 2 years older than me, 2 years before me. And then when I was 28, they started on me. I don't know about my younger sister, what happened to her. So I realise now that too late was meaning, now this is going to sound a bit harsh, but it was harsh to hear and harsh to realise. What they're saying is that on the one hand they're trying to drive us to suicide, make no mistake about it, or get us close to the edge, but on the other hand they're saying it's too late because it's too late for our parents to replace us. Not that we're replaceable in any way, because everyone's unique, different temperament, different personality, different looks, but what they're saying is that our parents are beyond childbearing age, so if we did finish ourselves off, they'd be left on their own. So the big worry about this for me is the demographics of it. I'm of an age group where our parents got married quite young. Women had, or in fact most women didn't have great career expectations, so they had jobs, saved a bit of money for when they got married and had families, so women got married quite young. But in the years between then and now, women have been encouraged to have careers, mortgages, or keeping a roof over your head is such an expense that it means people are delaying having their children. So, and delaying until late 20s. I think the average age is something like 28 now for a first child, which means it's a shorter span of time before it's too late for the parents to replace any children that become targeted and don't make it. So this means that at the moment there's going to be a younger generation of TIs, and they're going to be in their teens, maybe even less. So that fits in with the increase in school bullying, even primary school bullying, which is tragic because whilst my life's been a bit weird, I did have a lot of fun when I was young. I had some school bullying, but I tended to think they're just stupid people. I don't think it affected me greatly, or consciously it didn't anyway. I just carried on the way I wanted to. It's impacted me somewhat in confidence as a whole, but yeah. Anyway, I'm not wanting to talk about myself, really. I'm just wanting to say what I think. So I'm hoping this is going to reach some young people. There have been some losses in the TI movement in the last year or so, and they've been quite young men who've not really done anything with their lives, and not for the want of trying, or because they were shirkers, or they just got caught up in this and couldn't get beyond it. And I've got to say that from 1992 to 1998, my targeting was horrific. Personal, I felt that everyone hated me. I'd got no friends. I luckily lived quite a solitary life, so I was just able to, I was quite self-resilient. But I think to a lot of young people with social media, friendships are more important when you're young, and the loss of friends is more keenly felt. But you can put a positive spin on this. If you're holed up at home with no one to go out with, use your time to do something productive. Get a new hobby. Do anything that switches you off from what's going on outside and around you. Learn self-resilience. Learn to enjoy your own company. Yeah. There are other things I want to say, but I just can't bring them to mind now. It's just that I don't like to think of young people having this mar on their life at a much earlier age than I did. And I hope that they know better than us what it is. I was quite naive. I had no idea that people could have such strong feelings of aversion, or that people really carried such strong opinions on racism, on race, gender even. I've had some gender issues aimed at me, and stereotypical 70s jokes about women drivers and useless and all this, and dear oh dear. So there's something else I wanted to say. I'll have to stick it on a separate file. The other thing I wanted to say was that to your perps and people you don't know, you're not a person, you're just a statistic. And they're trying to engineer statistics. They want a percentage of losers who are going to keep social workers, drug rehabilitation units. It's a big employer. Sorting out ne'er-do-wells is a big employer. So don't keep them in work. I've discovered since my self-employed business has ended that one at least of my stalkers is now working at the job centre. So she was using me to keep herself in work. So that's riled me up somewhat. So yeah, they want a percentage of smokers, they want a percentage of alcoholics, they want a percentage of druggies, all to keep themselves in work, and you don't mean a thing to them as a person, but you do to your family. And so don't be one of the ne'er-do-wells keeping them in work. The other thing, and this is really nasty, and I don't know, I can't tiptoe around it, is that there's talk amongst the targeted community that there is an element of organ trading going on, and I can quite believe that this is so. Yeah, so if they get their targeted person to end it all, I suppose, then you're just money to them. The targeted person is just money to them from the sales they can make. To put a positive spin on it, there has been scientific research done in the last few years, decade, about emotional memory emotional memory is not necessarily stored in your brain, it is stored in other organs. So if they do transplant something off you after having made your life a misery, there's a fair chance that the recipient's going to suddenly find themselves a bit doolally and unhappy. So there's no gain for them in doing that. Yeah. So your friends who you're not sure about, who seem to be involved in your targeting, they're not necessarily willing participants. They're quite likely on V2K, they're told what to do. There are people who are more spiteful than you realise. If it's not your nature to be spiteful, you're going to be quite astonished at what some people will think too. But in amongst it all, there are some genuine friends. There's some who are not happy to see you so unhappy, who would want it another way, but they can't get out of it. If you're in school together, they can't get away from you. That's how it is. They can't get away from you to minimise what's happening. So there are some genuine friends in amongst it all, and of course there's your family. And you can't tell me that your family don't want you around. My family have been horrible to me on the surface, but they're on V2K. On looking back through my old photographs, I found pictures where my parents have got their finger to their ear. So a decade ago or more, they were telling me that they were hearing voices. They showed it visually in these photographs. So the things that they were saying to me, which were quite horrible, harsh, cruel, weren't their own words. So yeah. Your family don't want to see you like this. I honestly think that it hurts them as much as it's hurting you, if not more. And because it's generational, I would take the chance of talking to some of them. I know that it sounds like madness. They're quite likely to suggest psychiatric appointments and stuff like that. But there are as more and more people come forward and talk, it's becoming more widely known what is going on. It's very slow moving realisation in the general public, but it is happening. The wider mainstream media treat it lightly, but it's a case of there's no such thing as bad publicity, I don't think. So anything that comes into the newspapers or onto the TV is good news. It's raising awareness that something wrong is going on, even if it's not going into detail, and it might spark a few people to look a little deeper and find out what is going on before it affects them, because it is affecting more and more people. Yeah. So my closing thoughts are on this, what I hope has been a pep talk, is to live despite them, really. Enjoy your lives as best you can, work around it, ignore it, try to ignore it. If you find yourself isolated, use your time as productively as possible. I've used mine to research. Since discovering the word targeted individual in 2013, I've researched. I've spent a lot of time online, and I wasn't a big television fanatic to begin with. All my life I've never watched much TV, so from watching YouTube, listening to radio interviews, I've researched, and I think I've put quite a few of the pieces together, and I'm glad I pulled through it. It's not over, it's ongoing. It keeps changing at the moment. They keep bringing in new antics, and some sort of fade away for a while. At the moment I'm just having these radio waves beamed at me. But I'm glad I stayed around, because I've got to see my nephews. And if they had succeeded in pushing me over the edge in 1992, I never would have done that. So, yeah, stick around.